Hello, my name's Casey Fleming, and this show is called Talking Shit, a show where I talk shit. I toss lazy verbal jabs at anyone or anything at your request, for no other reason than that I am sad inside. So, our first episode, we begin with a request from a guy named Tommy. Let's see what it is. 21 Pilots. Okay, let's get right into it, because I'm not one for warming up. So, if you don't know who 21 Pilots are, they're a band, I guess. So, I begun my research on the group's Wikipedia page, where someone that was totally not me has playfully edited the name of our musical duo to "We didn't buy these jeans like this, we cut them on our edge." Anyway, I found that the group is called 21 Pilots because the frontman Tyler came up with the band's name while studying All My Sons by Arthur Miller, a play about a man who must decide what is best for his family after causing the death of 21 pilots during World War II because he knowingly sent them faulty parts for the good of his business. Tyler explains that this story of moral dilemma was the inspiration for the band's name. Wow, that's complicated and emotional. Just like what sad middle schoolers think 21 Pilots are. In actuality, while their fans hail them as being one of the only new and original bands of the last 5 years or so, that's not actually the case at all. But before we get into their music at all, I just wanted to take a minute and talk about their image and style, because unfortunately, that's just as important in today's music scene as is actually producing good material. So, I noticed they tried very hard to successfully hit the middle ground between the pretty boy, scrawny pussy Justin Bieber type of thing, and the pretty boy, scrawny pussy with oversized gauges and shitty tattoos post-rock thing, all these emotional 130-pound screamo bands like Asking Alexandria and Put on the Dance Floor and shit do. So, they did this in a very similar way in their music, and guess what? They hit that middle ground with the accuracy of a Navy SEAL sniper team on Ritalin at point-blank range. And I can prove, in my opinion, that this isn't just what they look like. Like, this isn't just them being themselves. This is, I think, part of the band's marketing scheme in general, and in my opinion shows that they're just trying to appeal to as many people as possible in a very shameless sort of I want to be famous type of way. I never thought I never thought when I started making this video that the funniest thing, the absolute funniest thing I've ever seen in my life would be the online store for a band of two 27-year-old emo indie pop scrubs. But this is what I found. The band's store sells seven, yes, seven different styles of wristbands. These are just a few of them, but I think it's a bit evil that they would prey on innocent crying 7th grade goth girls' addiction and take advantage of their need to show the world how sad and different they are by wearing too many wrist accessories. Presumably, if you collect all seven, you'll be given a job at Hot Topic and get a fuck ton of street cred at your local high school's anime fan club. But the fun doesn't end there. No, no. Actually, I found the most interesting thing about the band store was that they sold a few different variations of athletic shirts and athletic shorts. Because the first thing I think of when I think of a fan of the group Wikipedia now calls emo fuckboy sex toy, I definitely think athletes. I have a few problems with this, because in my research, I listened to the group's entire first two albums, and every single song was softer than my shits on 12 cups of coffee. Maybe it's just me, but my workout music tends to be a little harder, and listening to what is essentially an introspective pop-punk band suffering from depression doesn't exactly get me pumped for a run. The image I have in my head is a skinny dude with an emo cut cranking up his EFBSY and running for about 13 steps before having an existential crisis and collapsing to the ground crying because 21 Pilots is the only thing that can make me feel. Then, of course, being comforted by his 6 strictly platonic female friends who are equally emo to him. I mean, seriously! Just look at them! I want to track them down and make them do fucking push-ups! Okay, so now let me actually get into and talk about the band's music a little bit more in depth here. Okay, so you probably have heard of 21 Pilots through their huge, gigantic breakout song, Stressed Out, and if you haven't heard that song, first of all, I don't fucking believe you, and second of all, I envy you. So, it has almost 400 million views on YouTube, the video does anyway, so you've heard the song. And if you haven't, I don't believe you. So, now, before anybody comes at me and says, oh, you're just gonna fucking rip on their big song without actually listening to them. Well, if you remember, I mentioned earlier that I had listened to their entire first two albums. They're in their entirety. So, usually what somebody does in defense of the band, they'll say, oh, their earlier stuff was better, that's just a big single, and oftentimes that's true. Let's take a good band, for example, like Muse. Now, they have singles like Love Is Forever and shit like that, when the reality is the songs on their albums are actually a lot more heavy and complex. Um, so yeah, that is a fair thing. Sometimes singles are just kind of, singles, and they're not whatever. And that's fair, but after listening to two entire albums from these dudes, I can say it's not any different than their other music. Now, I'm getting attacked pretty heavily for that because the main thing people say in defense of 21 Pilots is that they're new and original. And okay, they're new and original, but I feel like all their songs sound the fucking same. Maybe they have one new and original song, but I don't think it's even that. Because what the thing is when somebody's labeled a rip-off artist, they say, just an example, Nickelback, oh, they're just ripping off fucking Metallica. Well, that's a rip-off artist, and that's easy to see. But 21 Pilots, what they're doing is they're just ripping off so many people at the same time that you don't realize they're ripping them off. Like, you can listen to any song, and they're ripping off everyone that's been popular in the last 10 years, but they're not doing it in the way where they're ripping them all off at the same time in each part. You know what I mean? Like, their songs are sectioned and structured in such a way where they'll do one, like, section and part of the song where they're ripping off one guy, then do the next, and do the next. Does that make sense? Like, they're not blending it together in a big thing. Like, okay, so what they're doing is they have, like, the emotional, like, introspective raps of Watsky without his actual rapping skill. Like, Watsky is an amazing rapper. He can actually rap very well and rhyme in interesting ways. They're not really doing that. They're just taking, like, the emotional part of it and sort of his delivery a little bit. And they're taking the attitude and the fucking style of shitty post-rock bands like Pierce the Veil without the halfway decent guitar work they have. And they're taking, sort of the bloopy, whiny, like, really poppy shit of Maroon 5 without being, like, sexy or being too poppy. And they're taking shit from, I don't know, just also whatever the folk band is now, like, fucking, the Fun, or whatever, the big drumming, all those bands have been really fucking popular for the past 5 years. So basically, they're taking all the mediocre parts of every big mediocre band of the last 10 or so years, and they're blending it together into one big mediocre fucking shake. That's my problem here. Like, they're not original at all, and all their songs sound the same. And you cannot tell me that's different, because I've listened to their first two albums. So, I am gonna break down their song Stressed Out now, and that's just gonna happen. I'm gonna break down their song Stressed Out, and just the video and everything, so I can just show you in one place, and for the interest of time, why I think they're unoriginal and stupid. And trying too hard is my main complaint with them, is that I feel they're trying too hard. Anyway, that's going to be part 2, so join me for that. It's going to be up soon, and this is part 1, so thank you. It's going to be about 20 minutes.